But anyway, here on the Fatboy Show, we're here having a good time and talking about some disturbing things that are happening in certain corners of the world and in certain corners of the country. I don't know if you heard this story, Olive. So there is a male student from Samson Memorial High School in Chebando who's been remanded to Luzira prison following allegations of performing a sexual act with a 15-year-old female student while he was HIV positive and aware of his HIV positive status.
Wow.
So this student, 21-year-old guy, appeared before grade 1 magistrate Jane Tibagonzeka to face charges of aggravated defilement because, of course, she's 15, so she's a minor.
Yeah.
And so during court proceedings, the magistrate refrained from allowing the student to enter a plea due to the severity of the charges, which carry a maximum penalty of death upon conviction. Well, given that he has HIV also, I don't know. I think that's a double whammy. Do you believe this man must die?
Well, first of all, I've always been of the standpoint that it is wrong for you to know that you are HIV positive and you do not disclose your status to the person that you're going to have intimate relations with, especially in this case, a minor. So he intended to infect her. Should he die? Maybe not, because I've never been party. I don't agree with the death penalty. But should he spend the rest of his life in jail? Maybe yes.
Yeah, that's very unfortunate, which is why, we have to protect our minors. Now, it is not clear from this report whether the defilement was a forced one. It could be that they were in some sort of a romantic liaison.
But given that he's 21 and she's 15, he is still the older person.
Of course.
Yeah.
I just find that it's useful to make that distinction because it helps you deal with the problem. You see, if it's an issue of a minor, a 15-year-old walking down the street and someone accosts her and drags her somewhere and takes advantage, that's of course extremely terrible. But it's different from where, let's say,
they had a relationship.
It is a consensual relationship.
But you see, it is a fine line to walk, because when you say consensual, when you're older, and it's like a 40-year-old man saying that he had a consensual relationship with a 15-year-old.
Okay, but check this out. But how rare was it? Let me take you back to your high school. So 15 years old, you're looking at someone who's about S2. And let's say, were you in a mixed school for?
I was.
Okay. Were there not senior 6 students dating senior 2 students? Was that?
They were there.
They were there.
Yes.
Okay. So this guy is 21, who's just 2 years older than the...
no, he's 6 years older than the girl. She's 15. He's 21.
But I mean, 2 years older than what would be a senior 6 boy, let's just say.
So he can actually be 21 in senior 6.
Oh, I see. How do they treat that though? Because if you're in senior 6 and you sleep with a girl in senior 2, you're both students, you're both in the same school even.
But when it comes to the law... But
if you're 19, you're an adult. The law views you as an adult.
Yes, when it comes to the law, it matters not if you're in senior 6 and she's in S1 or S2.
In my school, we had S6s. There was one. There could have been an S1 girl dating an S6.
No, even when I was in high school, there were many senior 1 girls dating senior 6 boys.
There's a lot of excitement when the S1s come, And the
S6 guys are tall, they look nice, they are handsome. So girls in S1 want to date guys in S4, S5,
Did you date an S6?
I didn't date boys in high school.
You're lying.
No, I'm not lying.
Really?
I only tried to date one boy. I was in senior 3, he was in senior 5. The only boy I ever tried to date. But guess what? He was in Scripture Union, and the girls in Scripture Union hated me because I was not a Scripture Union girl. So it's like I was taking their person. And
you're not born again.
I was, but I wasn't as active as them. There was a section of girls that lunchtime prayers, evening time prayers. I was not those guys.
You're not a prayer warrior.
I was not an intercessor.
All right, so for this boy, first of all, he had HIV also. For me, that just is the worst. Because he has ruined this girl's life.
We are not getting all the details, because he could have had HIV. Not that this should exonerate him, but he could probably have been born with HIV. The only contention I have is that he knew he had HIV and he decided to have canon knowledge of this girl without disclosing his status. But the big question here is it criminal not to disclose your HIV status as per our laws?
That I'm actually not sure about. I know it's been proposed. I don't know if it was ever enacted. But aside from that, the laws as they stand, this is a clear-cut case of aggravated defilement, and the maximum penalty is death. Of course, now it is within the judge's purview to decide whether or not to extend the maximum penalty, or it could be a lesser one by virtue of his age. Who knows? But we need to protect our children.
That's true.
Our daughters, our sons. You know, if this man had some guidance, he probably would not have behaved in this way also.
And in the event that they had a consensual relationship with the girl, maybe if the girl had been well guided, and this is where we need to talk about the issue of sex education. Parents are not having sex education talks with their children.
So
because
you're saying...
As in, if
right.
you talk to your daughter and tell her about the consequences of engaging in early sex, now I'm assuming they had a consensual relationship.
So let's say she had received sex education and even gone as far as started carrying condoms with her. You think it would have mitigated this?
It would have. You see, the difference between us and parents in the West, sorry, I'm referring to the West because for them, they have decided to have an open mind regarding things like this. You're going to, when parents realize that their 15-year-old is sexually active, they're going to have that talk. They're going to talk about contraceptives. They're going to talk about protection. Whereas here, we would rather die
Well,
than putting our daughters on what? On contraceptives. And that's why we have high rates of girls dropping out of school.
Now imagine.
Because of pregnancy.
Well, I have a daughter, so I'll have to have that chat with her one day. What about you? Your eldest is 13?
He's 15, almost 16.
Have you had that talk?
Yes, we have. Oh my goodness, it's very uncomfortable.
You give him condoms to carry as part of school shopping.
He's not sexually active.
He goes with powdered milk, Weetabix, Quencher, and condoms.
No. If they phone him with condoms in his school, they would expel him right away. So what I do, we have open conversations about sex and consequences.
So do you think that's a good thing as a school policy? Should schools be a bit more flexible? Because the fact is, if it's a mixed school, and unfortunately, even if it's a single-sex school, even as in a single-sex school, there are sexually active children. Woo! Anyway, I think there's room to rethink this. But parents may want to have that conversation.
You need to talk to your children about sex, especially when they become teenagers. Because, Fatboy, we are raising children in the information age. These kids know things that you don't even think they know.
That's right. And if they have phones, you have no idea what they're looking at.
And even when they don't have phones, do you know how many kids have been exposed to pornography through their parents' phones? You watch your car clip, you don't clear your history, you give your child to play games, and then they found your last clip. Seriously, these things are happening.
Wow, that's just not good. Okay, well, plenty of food for thought. And now, as a parent myself, I find that this is something that I also can't neglect. And perhaps I should start practicing my speech.
Too early.
Eh?
Too early.
If you mess around, girl, I will kick you out of the house.
No, that is not helping. Our parents did that and our sisters still got pregnant out of wedlock. So that doesn't help.
Okay.
Just have an honest conversation and, put everything on the table for them. They need to know the consequences of their actions.
Word. Thanks for that, Olive. Do keep listening to The Fatboy Show. It's your number one station, RX Radio.